Hi everyone, welcome to Shellie Soapbox. I am Shellie and I am excited to have you with me again today. I am the same Shellie with the same random thoughts, but the only thing, as you've noticed, I have a new hairstyle. So I've decided to go low and light. Shout out to my hairstylist, Blonde Bees, who got me together. So before we get started, I want to ask a question. Do you find yourself being all things to all people all the time? Do you want to take a moment to just sit back and breathe and think to yourself, I just need some me time? Well, today I want to talk to you about setting boundaries so that you don't lose yourself. I'm extremely delighted to have as a guest Key Aquino. Key Aquino is a senior leader marketing executive working for a major corporation. She is also a family woman and has recently launched a YouTube channel called the Key Aquino Show. So welcome, Key.
Thank you. Thank you. That is such an awesome introduction. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here for this important discussion.
Setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries.
Ooh, baby. Without losing yourself. And so let's talk about that with regard to you.
Okay.
Because you are doing a lot of things. You are, as I stated, you have a very busy and I know high pressure job to meet goals, to lead a team, to meet business outcomes.
Exactly.
And then managing your family.
Exactly.
And then finally, you've just decided to launch your show on YouTube, the Key Aquino Show.
Yeah.
So please tell me and the audience, how do you do it all?
So that is such a great question, and I ask myself that all the time. I feel like fundamentally this idea of doing it all is something that I personally have had to step back from. I have a lot of passions and I have a lot of responsibilities, but a lot of people have sort of let it be clear that you can't do it all the time. And I feel like that's what I've really learned throughout my process. And when I was able to really make that a reality in my mind and stop trying to be Superwoman. As you know, as Black women, we tend to really digest this concept of being a Superwoman, being superhuman. But when I stepped back from that and realized I don't have to do it, that is really when I started to be able to do more things. And it started when I began to understand the importance of detaching from that trope, that stereotype, and not trying to do it all and setting those boundaries.
Okay, so you said a lot there.
Right?
A lot that we could have a whole nother topic of discussion about the expectation that is put on us as Black women in the corporate environment, in the home environment, and we ourselves tend to neglect ourselves because we try to be Superwoman.
Right.
So I have a question because a lot of times the lines are blurred. So how do you, I know you said you took a step back, but can you give us a little bit more detail about how you manage those blurred lines and have really clearly defined boundaries set so that you can work on yourself?
Well, I have this addiction. I've had this addiction my whole life, it feels like. And this addiction, I like to call it people pleasing. I like to be liked.
Right.
And my desire to be liked has really been one of my primary stumbling blocks in setting boundaries. And what ended up happening was I would show up for all of the baby showers. I would show up for all of the wedding stuff. I would show up to the family reunion. I would show up to work and overextend myself trying to get the promotion. And at the end of the day, half of those people didn't reciprocate.
Right.
So I was like, wait, what am I doing? And so when I was able to see that I cannot, this is not a transactional relationship. I cannot over nice myself and in return expect that back. then I really started to say, hey, I need to set these boundaries. Like, I don't need to do every single thing. And if I don't do it and you don't like me, that's terrible. That means that that's not a healthy relationship. Because if I'm not able to do it because I need to take care of myself or I have some other, obligations, and you get that, you're like, don't worry, girl, I got you. You know what I mean? Don't worry, you're still good with me because I know that you have a heart in the right place. And when I started to, just say, you know what? I don't have to do all that stuff to be quote unquote liked. And I don't even need to be liked, to be honest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, some people just not gonna like me. And that's okay. That is okay. I send you, blessings.
Absolutely. I mean, I often say, someone asks me, like, what do you call your fans? And I said, I call them haters, because the same people that were your friends can ultimately become your foes, right? And so the other thing is, the same people that cheer for you one moment, then suddenly they're booing you the next. So I agree with you 100% about stop being a people pleaser, because that in and of itself can start to set the boundaries. The other thing too I want to talk about though is that self-care doesn't mean that you're selfish and that you don't care about others, right? So even though maybe you're not as concerned about their perception of liking you, but you still care about others. You care about your family. You care about the different community people that you impact. But you have to stop and recognize that in order for me to better serve you, I have to serve myself. Yes. I often think of when we're on a plane, the flight attendant will say, put your own mask on and then put on the mask of someone else, because we cannot help someone if we ourselves are struggling.
I absolutely agree. And, getting back to your question of how I started to learn how to set boundaries, that was another catalyst for me, was that I didn't put my mask on first. I went to the doctors one day during the pandemic. I hadn't been in a few years. It took me a while. We relocated. It took me a while to find a new doctor. And the doctor was like, listen, if you don't get your act together, you are careening towards hypertension. You are careening towards diabetes. You are careening towards a very broken body. And that was my wake-up call. I was like, I literally physically cannot be all things to all people. And so when that doctor said that, that was sort of my catalyst. But I don't like it. I don't encourage people to wait till a doctor is about to pronounce you dead. Don't wait to have that kind of catalyst. You know what I mean? Like, you have to initiate your own self-care way before that. To your point, that's not selfish. Like taking that time to meditate, to go for a walk, to make sure that you go to the grocery store and get good food, prepare that food in your home. I mean, not everybody likes to cook for themselves, but you know what I mean? Like being very thoughtful about what you put in your body and all of that. When I started to do that and do that intentionally, then my health did a 180 and I started to be able to do more things because I had more energy. You know what I mean? And my body was in much better condition.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because your body will tell you, right? If others are not telling you, so people are not telling you they like you, right? You're telling yourself you need to do all these things. And your body will say, all right, baby, it's time to slow down. Key, slow down. Yes, because if you don't slow down, I am going to stop on you. And then you'll be of no benefit to anyone. So I'm interested though, you said that you kind of took a step back. You decided that you were no longer going to be a people pleaser. You started doing things healthy for yourself. But also, you still have that corporate job. How does setting boundaries manifest itself at work?
So that is an excellent question. I have a couple of ways that I've been able to manifest this in my day job. Number one, I block off time on my calendar to go for my morning walk. I walk for 1 hour every morning.
Oh, wow.
Rain, snow. Well, it doesn't snow because I live in Florida.
Oh, it must be nice. It must be nice. All the New Yorkers, we can't relate.
Yes. But yeah, I whatever it is, if you go to the gym, if whatever you got to do to really carve out time, maybe it's in the evening taking a nice soak in the tub, I don't care what it is. But for me personally, I said I'm going to block off my calendar. I'm not taking a meeting before 8. Unless this is earth shattering, I'm not going to do it. And so, I mean, I'll adjust as needed, but for the most part, I decided to do that because before I would work, I would get up, I would be checking my phone from the bed. It would be 6 a.m. in the morning. I would be checking my phone from the bed. I wake up and check my phone, make sure I got my emails. Then I roll out of the bed, get on my computer.
Right.
And I haven't even brushed my teeth yet. I haven't gone for no walk. I haven't done anything to ground myself. And I said no. So that's like one of the ways that I've been able to set boundaries at work and still do my work. The other thing that I learned to do, again, getting back to the people pleasing part, is I started to delegate. I got all these bright people on my team. I don't know everything. Right. You know what I mean? So just making sure. And delegating is also giving other people the opportunity to shine. You know what I mean? And giving them the opportunity to expand their horizons and do new things and, you know, tap into their gifts and talents. And so delegating and then, you know, carving out that me time is how I've been able to really bring that to my job. And my job has gotten so much better. Like my work has vastly improved since I have created some time to just anchor myself, and also since I have started to really bring my team into the fold.
Absolutely. That is interesting. And you know, the other thing too that I find, sometimes I cannot be as strategic as I would like to be because I don't have the time. And to your point, so as you help develop others to take on some of those responsibilities. And one thing too that I actually want to call out about our self-care is asking for help is not a weakness. And I want to repeat that. Asking for help is not a weakness. All too often, we are taught that if you ask for help, it's a sign that you can't do the job, or you're not qualified, or you can't manage it all, when it's really a sign of strength. That I realized in order to be my best self, in order to get the best outcome on whatever I may be working on, I need to ask for help. And also, in order to help someone else feel good about themselves, because a lot of people they want to raise their hands and help you. So I love that you are now being intentional about not only your own setting your own boundaries, but allowing the boundaries that you set for yourself to develop others.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to really like go into that point that you just made about feeling like you're weak if you ask for help. Like, where did we get that from? You know what I mean? Like,
somebody told us that.
Yeah,
they lied.
That was misprogramming. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we're here to do. It's in the scripture, you know, love God with all your heart, number 1, and number 2 is the same, love your neighbor as yourself. And to me, the genesis of that, the seed of that is service. You know what I mean? Yes. Service to others. And so a lot of people enjoy helping. Absolutely. Helping each other, helping their neighbors. So I think that we need to just, you know, and also when we are, you know, just caught up on our bootstrapping mentality, it kind of takes us away from this concept of community. And when you think about community, we are here to support each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you setting boundaries for yourself also tells others that they can set boundaries as well for themselves. So it's a force multiplier, right? That we all actually get better by setting those boundaries and not losing ourselves, right? Exactly. The uniqueness of who Key is important, and we need to see her. Other Black women need to see Key set those boundaries and feel comfortable that they too themselves can set boundaries. Exactly. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And so that's the corporate aspect. That's your day job. But from a family perspective, how do you manage boundaries from your family? Because you started off saying, I went to every baby shower. I went to, you know, I'm sure like there were weddings. I went to every event, every party, every milestone. I was there. Key was there. And so tell me now, how are you setting boundaries around that?
You know, in my household, one of the things, again, getting back to delegating, one of the things that I have championed in my actual household is that, and my husband's always been good at this, but giving him more opportunity to share the load, so, and he's a fantastic cook.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I don't have to do all the cooking every single day of the week. I'm a great cook too, but we share that. You know what I mean? Cleaning up, all of those things, laundry. It's no one person's sole responsibility. We tackle it as a team, and so that's another example of boundaries. He's not expecting me to go work a 50-hour work week and then somehow carve out time to do the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry. No. We balance that.
Good.
And so that's one way that I've done it with my family. And then, with extending it to my friend family, what I've learned to do is just communicate. Like if some big milestone is coming up and I can't do it for whatever reason, instead of breaking myself to try to be able to do it, because then the person's going to know that I love them and they're going to like me.
People pleasing.
Exactly.
People pleasing, right.
Instead of doing that, I just say, I love you. I am so sorry I won't be able to do this particular one. Hopefully I'm good for the next one. Do you have a registry? You know what I mean? I'm going to send you something. I let them know that I still care for them. If I can't do it, I let them know that I can't. And I let them know, why there's a conflict. But it doesn't mean that the love is lost. And so for me, it just was learning how to be a better communicator. And not assuming that I have to do everything, because that's not what everybody else does.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So setting boundaries without losing yourself.
Yeah.
And so you've set these boundaries. And my last question to you before we have a call to action to those that are listening is, how do you feel? How does Key feel today with setting those boundaries? What have you found that's different about yourself on this path and this journey of self-care and self-improvement, setting boundaries? Like, you have not lost yourself. So who are you today because of those boundaries that you've set?
I would say today, because of these boundaries, I've actually found myself. Before, I had lost myself. I had lost myself in this world. I had lost myself in all of these things, having it all. I just, I didn't really understand what was important to me. And what's important to me is, number one, obviously family is very important. Number two, obviously I have to love me. I would say, I should have said, this is number one, is God. My spiritual path is so important to me. And by setting these boundaries, I got back to God. By making sure every morning when I wake up, even before I go for my morning walk, I do 20 minutes of meditation, because that helps me reconnect to God. And if I can find God, then my day is going to be juicy.
Yes.
A day is going to be, it's not like every day is free of problems, but I get the download. I get to understand how to navigate through it all so that I never lose myself again.
Absolutely. I love that, because God first, and God's got you. And if he's got you, if God be for us, who can be against us?
Right.
So thank you for spending time with me today. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so glad that you came to New York City. We got to, twin in our outfits and talk. In closing, what are your final words and final remarks to those that are listening who are going through the same things? They may not be there yet. They've heard the path that you've taken. What are your final words to those who are experiencing the feeling of being all things to all people?
I would say, for me, step back and really ask yourself, what's your motive? What's your intention? For me, what I learned is that I want to be a people pleaser, and that wasn't healthy for me. So if you can step back, if you have hypertension, so you just went to the doctor and they're like, you know what, you need to take some blood pressure medication. Really look at your environment and say, what is the stimulus, and if you can identify it, if you say, you know what, I have young kids, I'm running around all the time, ballet, soccer, whatever, or I have a very demanding job, or whatever it is, like, step back and say, do I need to give all of myself? Do I have enough to give? Where am I giving from? You know what I mean? Am I giving from a full tank, or am I giving from an empty tank? if you feel like you're giving from an empty tank, that to me is an indication that you need to set some boundaries, and you really need to take in, a regimen of self-care and be religious about it. Be unwavering about your self-care routine. Figure out whether you need to, whatever, take your hot bath, go to the gym, go for walks, whatever it is that's going to help you get back on your path. Be unapologetic about it. That's what I had to learn for myself.
Love that. And also do it without guilt. Guilt-free. This
Right.
is for you.
Right.
And
Exactly.
working on you will be able to help you work and help someone else.
Yeah.
So thank you again. Thank you to all of you. I want to hear your perspectives. I want to hear how this conversation has resonated with you. Feel free to drop a comment or send me an email at shelliesoapbox@gmail.com. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening, everyone.